Hello everyone, today is Saturday, May the 15th, 2021. This is Wes Fryer. It is just after 11 p.m. and I'm going to smoke a brisket, and this is going to be overnight brisket, but I'm going to make burnt ends. And maybe like my wife and I, you have thought, if you're not super knowledgeable about barbecue, that the burnt ends are just the, pieces at the ends of the brisket that get the, most cooked and charred, and they're kind of cut off to the side and put in sauce. And I guess that could be. But the correct way to make burnt ends is to take the point of your brisket, which is the juiciest part, the part that has the most intermuscular fat inside, and cut that into basically inch cubes, and then season it and put it in sauce and cook it a little bit longer. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I have watched several different videos with different techniques of how to do this, and I'll include those videos in the description to this one. I have taken this pretty much monster plate of fat off, and I've trimmed the meat that is on the far backside here, is the point that I'm going to be making the burnt ends out of, and then the other piece here is the flat. And the flat, I guess I should have, anyway, I have to wash my hand again. I've got a nice fat cap, about 1/4 of an inch. Maybe I need to take a little bit more off right here, actually. But I've got a 1/4 inch. Maybe it's a little bit more, but anyway, I've got some nice fat here. But I have really trimmed the fat off of this point, and I've also butterflied this end. So a lot of times the point of the brisket is going to be a lot thicker, and it still is. I didn't do this perfect here, but what I attempted to do is cut here in the middle and fold it over, and so some of the videos that I'll have linked do a much better job of that. But anyway, I'm trying to get a more consistent thickness of the meat so that we're going to have a consistent cook. And basically I'm going to cook this like I have cooked my briskets previously, and I'll include a link to and I'm going to be cooking on my pellet smoker on my RecTeq RT-700 Bull, and I'm going to be doing this overnight. So I'm going to be starting this here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll time lapse it, but I'm going to season this. I'm actually seasoning, this is a little bit different, with 2 seasonings. So I'm going to use my finer seasoning, which is the cow cover from Kosmos, and I'm going to be doing a liberal seasoning of that after I just use my yellow mustard as my binder. And then I'm going to put my more coarse SPG, which is just salt, pepper, and garlic, and I'm going to be putting that on top. So a lot of my briskets I've done in the past have just been plain Texas style salt and pepper. Obviously, the folks selling the seasonings, believe it's better to have a lot of different kinds. These are both from Oklahoma City, actually. Kosmos, who I've watched their videos and subscribed to their Instagram. This is not a paid promotion, by the way. I'm just, I've actually enjoyed using their wing dust on chicken wings. And I went down. They've got one store in the United States. It's right here in Oklahoma City, right off of I-40 and Meridian. And then they've got this huge warehouse, and they ship all over the place. So anyway, that's what they recommend. That's what I'm going to give a try. And then I've got some of their competition sauce that I'm going to use as we make the burnt ends. So anyway, time to get this rubbed. Going to let this sit for, well, at least a good 15 to 30 minutes probably. And then I'm going to throw this on. Think I'll probably be, going for about a 6-hour smoke at 225. And then in the morning, I'm going to be wrapping, and I'm going to use the beef tallow Jeremy Yoder method to try to approximate the moistness of Aaron Franklin. Do that again, and I'll be cooking to finish in the oven. Now, it's supposed to start raining tomorrow morning, and so that may actually determine whether I finish my burnt ends at the end of this cook in the oven or whether I do put them out on the smoker. So we'll see. All right, let's get this thing rubbed and prepared. this one on tonight. Smoke it overnight, Moose. What do you think? Hey, good morning, everybody. It's been on. Can I even talk? Man, who gets on a video at this time? It's Saturday morning. We've had the brisket on about 6.5 hours, and it is actually almost 6:30. And I have not opened this, and I'm about to open it, and I am checking for bark. So, because this brisket was not as thick, I thought this thing was just going to cook too fast if I kept it at 225. So I had my set point at 225 when I originally put it in last night at about right before midnight at about 11:45. And you know, one of the reasons why I went with a pellet instead of an offset, I mean, I didn't want to just stay up all night babysitting the smoker, but you know, set and forget, it's not quite that. You still need to be checking, and of course this isn't just temperature, it's more than just temperature, but temperature is a good guideline. So at 3:33 a.m. My temperature was about 128 degrees, and so what I did was I went ahead and changed my set point, or maybe I did that right before I went to bed. I think I did it right before I went to bed, and I went as low as I could, which is a little below 200, which ends up being about 180 or 185. So my temperature at 3:30 was 128. Then I woke up again at 5, and I was at 137. My actual set or ambient temp was 180 and then 183. So it was maintaining right around 180. And then now, if I go ahead and check where we're at, and then we just looked, actually we're about 155. That's about where we are right now. So we got my iPad here too. So yeah, we've got 153, 155. So let's open this thing up, and what I'm hoping is we're gonna have some good bark, and then I'm gonna bring it inside. We're gonna wrap. It's actually supposed to rain all day today. I think the rain's supposed to start about 8 o'clock. And so again, that's a nice thing about finishing in the oven, is that we're not going to be putting any more smoke into the meat after we wrap. And so, yeah, sure, I could leave it out here and I could burn pellets, but I don't have to. I'm going to use my oven instead. So let's take a look at this thing. All right. For those of you who don't know, this is my RecTeq RT-700 grill. Pellet smoker, and yeah, looking pretty good there. Bark is set up pretty well. I think I'm pleased with that. Got a little bit of liquid here on the top, and it looks like we've dried a little bit here, but yeah, we're looking okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on while I'm basically set, but I got to get my gloves. So it's dried out quite a bit. Would have been better to spritz if I could have. Yeah, and this is a lot drier than what I would normally have. We're probing at about 145. So what I'm hopeful for is, oh shoot, and I wanted to actually brush this paper first. Oh, man, this is not looking as great. This brisket really is a lot thinner than I've not ever cooked on this particular smoker. I've not separated my point and my flat before. This is my first time to do that. And I kind of kept my cook time similar to what I would have had if I had kept everything on. So if I had wanted to stay up, or I hadn't done this overnight, it probably would have been better to actually spritz this with some apple cider vinegar and water, or just apple cider vinegar. So what I'm doing here is I'm just brushing this with some beef tallow. You can make this yourself with the trimmings that you have. I just ordered some South Chicago packing beef tallow from Amazon, and just warmed it up a little bit, about 50% power, for about a minute in the microwave, and then we've got this warmed up. So this is the Jeremy Yoder method for trying to have a moister brisket. So I brushed the paper that I'm wrapping with, and then I've also brushed the outside. Now, I watched a video this last week where they actually were injecting, and I don't know, that obviously this is affecting how much cholesterol is going into your brisket. But you know, if you're eating brisket, you're not incredibly focused on reducing cholesterol. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to try to wrap this fairly tight. And what I'm going to put this in is I'm actually going to put this in a roasting pan, but I have put my wire tray down here just to kind of keep it a little bit elevated off of the bottom. So, going to put that in. I've got my probes ready, so we're going to switch over to the oven. So we're going to put in the thermoprobe, and I'm going to go ahead and try to probe this here in the thickest part of the meat, and then we're going to go ahead and get the oven. So just have to, this was my point, now I got to do the same thing for the flat. Whoa, too bad you can't smell that. It is time to take this brisket out. 17 hours of cook time. This has been my lowest and slow cook, and I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I mean, I'm suspicious, obviously, and hopeful that it's going to be good, but let's take this thing out of the oven. All right, so 6 hours on the smoker, and then this is a convection electric oven, and I actually have, when you turn on convection, it reduces the temperature. It reduces the temperature of the oven by 25 degrees. And so actually for all but, man, this last hour, I was cooking it at what it said it was 200. It said it you know, adjusts. But anyway, gonna put this flat in the cooler right now, and then the point, we're gonna crack that open and cut that up to make some burn ends. Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna try to cut this in inch cubes. Ooh-wee. Looks pretty good. Again, this is the point. So what I'm doing here is making burnt ends, actually for the first time. And I'm cutting my point in 1-inch cubes. Hey, and look at that. I actually have a slicing knife. Imagine that. And I'm going to place these cubes into my pan so that I can add just a little bit more seasoning to them, and we can put some sauce on them. I've got the RecTeq grill fired up again. I actually cleaned it up last night, or I guess this morning, after I took the briskets off and put them back in the oven. I have never done a brisket cook this long. The reason I ended up cooking it lower last night, and I'll probably debrief this at a little bit more length, was because I didn't want it to cook too fast. Oh man, oh my gosh. I think it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna season them with a little Kosmos cow cover, just a little bit more. And then we're gonna lay on some Kosmos Original Competition and stir that all up. We're gonna put that back out on the smoker, probably for about 15 minutes. That's the plan. All right. There used to be some drips there on the floor. Somebody cleaned that up for me. Thank you, lady. These burnt ends are ready to go back on the smoker. So, shall we do it? Let's do it. Got the RecTeq fired up again. I'm cooking in the kitchen. Total cook time, 17 hours. I don't know what we're fired up to yet. We're up to 195. Okay, that's pretty good. So, I'm going to do this. With one hand, we got a lot of smoke coming off of there. I actually have to clean that up. So there we go. Woohoo! About 15 minutes. All right. Normally, Moose doesn't get his bite till the end, but what do you think, Moose? This hasn't rested. You think it's okay to eat? And if you just sample that, see how that is. All right, sports fans, as my dad would say. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Where's my fork? Okay. I think these are good. Okay, I'm gonna... Man, I want to eat one of these. Whoa. Okay, I want to actually... I'm not going to eat for 45 more minutes because I want to let the oh, wow. I want to let the flat rest for another 45 minutes so it has an hour, but we're going to go ahead and give this a try. Moose, what do you think? Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my. I think that may be the best taste of barbecue goodness I've ever had. Yeah, okay, so burnt ends. I think they're worth making. It is 6:40, so it's time to eat. I did not anticipate this cook going so long, As you kind of saw, I guess, through this movie, I love this start in the evening right before midnight so that we can have the meat having time to rest. This is rested now for, I think, about an hour and a half. But anyway, I've never cooked that low and slow because I cooked at about 185 for most of the cook. And finally there at the end for the last hour, I just had to boost it up to 350 to go ahead and finish it off. So we've already seen these, and we'll get these out again here in a bit. This is the burnt ends, but let's go ahead and get out our flat, which we have not had. Look at that. Okay, that's fairly spectacular. Oh my gosh. Again, I think a huge secret for this is the beef tallow method. So adding beef tallow to the butcher paper before the rub, and then also actually brushing it on the brisket itself. So there's the fat cap side, and wow. What really tells us if this thing is done or not is whether it's probe tender. You know, and it's not, I would say that is not supposed to be like butter. It is, it's pretty smooth, but anyway, all right, let's cut into this thing. The question is, how does our grain run? And our grain is running like this. So I'm gonna cut across here, and let's go ahead and get started and see. Let's see how we did. What do you think, Musaran? Can you smell it? Smoke grain looks good. Oh, wow, yeah. All right, so wow. That's as good as any brisket I've had. Oh my goodness. All right, that's it. It's eating time. Shout out to Kosmo for my first time to cook with cow cover, as well as SBG, just their salt, pepper, and garlic rub, and for our burnt ends, the Kosmo's original competition. Pretty good stuff. Good luck making your own burnt ends. It's worth it.